With Crisis on Infinite Earths officially over, we finally get to see how it all went down. And we also got to see the lengths that the CW and showrunner Mark Guggenheim went to get cameos, big or small, into this highly teased crossover. So here are my top 10 cameo picks in order from the most likely to the most surprising. Number 10, Burt Ward. While he was announced and not explicitly stated to be Robin, it was nice seeing him early on in the show, and him being in the opening sequence of episode 1 was a super great way to start everything. It really showed that they went out for all the stops by literally getting the oldest live action interpretation of a DC property, which is the 1966 Batman show. And due to Adam West's unfortunate passing a few years back, having Burt Ward here and doing his catchphrase of "Holy insert dialogue" was just a great way to really kick off this crossover. Number 9, Swamp Thing. Yes, I know this was a quick glance, but seeing that the show was simply canceled after its first episode, and it was a great show, it was nice to see a little shout out for it, particularly because I really enjoyed that show, and it is a recent cancellation. And I know the people behind it were surprised by it as well, so seeing him come in here, and yes, he looked sad and alone, and he was in the rain, but it brought a smile to my face seeing him again, because it just confirms that somewhere out there, Swamp Thing lives on, and fingers crossed that one day we will see it again. Number 8, Marv Wolfman. As a legendary comic creator and the writer of Crisis in the comics, it was nice seeing him make a small cameo in the final episode. Now, most writers get, shout-outs on the TV or street signs, but having him in person on arguably his biggest story was kind of heartwarming for us and probably for him as well. It was also funny seeing him be a fanboy of Supergirl and the Flash because he killed them both off in his original story. So it was nice seeing him both as a comic person, but also knowing that technically he's the reason that these two are dead in the comic, were dead in the comics, but he's still here looking happy as ever, and it's just a nice nod for a comic fan. Number 7, the Huntress and Oracle. Now, the Birds of Prey TV show was something. I don't remember how it ended because I only watched the first few episodes because it just felt off for me, but I do understand that the show has a fan base. So still hearing about the casting and that they were going to be in the crossover, and then seeing them on screen and hearing Oracle and then watching them die just really harkened back to the show, and it just kind of made me want to rewatch the show, much like the 90s Flash did. I want to rewatch these shows, and it just makes it nice knowing that when I watch these, they're all connected at some point, and you know that they have their end, but then they get brought back. So it's just kind of cool knowing that everything just ties into this one event. It unifies these shows. Number 6, Stargirl and her ensemble. Now, while her show hasn't premiered and we haven't seen anyone other than her in costume from the trailers, seeing her full ensemble and watching them being posed for a brief second just got me excited for her show. While I don't think they'll run through her origin and I want to see the build up for these characters, I can't wait to see how these worlds handle more teams out there fighting the good fight. And I think just seeing her out there and like them all looking really cool when they're posed, it just gets me excited to see the future of that show and see if that ties in at all, particularly because it's on another network, which is just HBO Max. We're still getting on the CW. So I'm really curious to watch this go down and see what their future and what the Arrowverse is. Number 5, Wentworth Miller. A while back, actor Wentworth Miller had said that he was leaving the Arrowverse as a whole. So having him, not even announced, but having him as the voice role of Earth 74's Wave Rider instead of Gideon was a nice nod, because the Captain Cold character was heavily involved with season 1 of Legends, which isn't the most well-received season of Legends, but he was a big part of it and people loved his character in it and on The Flash. So having this character be back, like I said, even for a voice role, it was really nice because no one expected it, and I don't believe it was announced. So recognizing that cynic voice was it was just something that I felt really elevated the scene, and it's one of those little things that the show does really well with small little Easter eggs, even with actors. Number 4 is Black Lightning. Now, I've been a lover of this character since prior to the show, and the show has been going good to great for the past 3 years. So having him be saved from his Earth being destroyed, nerding out over Superman, and joining a pre-Justice League was more than I could have hoped for his character. And officially having him in the Arrowverse and on the same Earth makes me so excited for more things, particularly more crossovers. Because Black Lightning, if you can see on my channel, I'm a really big fan of him, so I'm excited to see that he's able to do more now, even though the show itself films, across the country. It's just exciting to see, instead of a cameo, he actually got a role and was in multiple episodes. So it was rather exciting for me, and he just became an extra big hook for me for Crisis, and it didn't disappoint. So cheers to the next crossover, which will hopefully have him in it. Number 3 is Kevin Conroy. For years, this legendary voice actor had just been voicing Bruce Wayne, but to have him actually portray Bruce Wayne in live action was something that even actor Kevin Conroy didn't even think was possible. But it's these kinds of things that just don't happen, but it finally actually did happen. And I love that he played an angry version of Bruce who went through with the murder of Superman. I love that he portrayed the first Batman in the Arrowverse, and he went for an entirely new portrayal that even the movies would not touch, where Batman would kill Superman. And it did feel like it wasn't a necessary thing for him to be there for. It looked really cool to see this version of Batman and to be so broken down. Like, that's a version of Batman that it does exist out there. The fact that we're getting to see it out here being portrayed, and that Kate Kane gets to see it of all people, and Supergirl, was just a nice little nugget that I would not have expected. When it was announced, I thought we'd get, a generic Batman, but they went with an OG Batman that you never see, and I thought they did really good with it. Number 2 is Tom Welling. Now, to many, Tom Welling is their Superman and will always be. But it's been 10 years since he last donned the CGI cape, only the one time. But it wasn't necessary for his return. He got a comic and everything. But people just wanted Welling back, and they got it with enough to satisfy, but also enough to crave for more. He just needed, to be back with his same Clark Kentness that had been missing. So to have him back, it's a true comics fan's blessing. And again, it's been a decade since he had the role, and he said he would never return. But in recent years, it definitely has worn on him that the fans really love him in this role. So it was exciting to have him back, and it was a joyful few minutes, especially when he punches Mr. Lex Luthor. Number 1, Ezra Miller. The cameo that wasn't even meant to be, but a cameo that blew the collective minds of all who watched, including the actors. For the longest time, TV and film were divided, but thanks to Warner Brothers and Ezra Miller, we now have confirmation that they are indeed adjacent to each other in the multiverse. It's fantastic. It was something that even the Marvel still has tried going away from until their Disney Plus shows, but this confirms before anybody else that it all is connected. And the fact that showcasing both Flash being really nerdy and exciting with meeting another version is peak Barry Allen, like them worrying about the fabric or how the other costume feels, that's Barry Allen to a T. So it's great seeing that nerd out that we've been missing from the Flash recently. But overall, every cameo was worth watching, and definitely made this crossover feel like a true event. Much like the comics did, where there were all these solo storylines, which were the first half of these seasons and stuff like that, or the ending of shows, but it all comes together and you have characters that don't move the plot, but characters that are there for the plot. And that's what makes it an event, because everyone is there to witness everything go down. And even if it did slow the story down at times, or it didn't add anything overall, it was still great to watch. And I think it made the crossover more epic than it would have been without any of these. Because without any cameo, this would have been like 3 episodes, and it would have been missing not necessarily a heart, but a soul to kind of fill this out. It added more humanity, more depth, and knowing that you have 20 plus shows and movies gone with an antimatter wave, that's a heavy weight for the show and for the universe. I think that it really portrayed how connected and can be connected that these will be. There's already even speculation that Grant Gustin may appear in the Flash movie, which is all kinds of exciting because that kind of crossover rarely ever happens. So I think that overall the crossover set up an endless possibility of characters such as how Constantine came to join the Legends or joined Arrow briefly. I think being able to have Swamp Thing jump in randomly or Doom Patrol come over for one episode, that's very exciting, and I think that this crossover made that all possible, and that's just fantastic. And it made the impact in episode 3 even more so. But which cameo or appearance was your favorite? Let me know down below.